I'll leave a link in the description showing you how I made this with a microwave transformer. But have an idea, whenever this pattern was burned into this wood, it leaves a groove all down in here. There's grooves all over the place. And what I've seen a lot of people do, this isn't anything new, is you mix up some resin and you pour it over the piece, and then you sand off what's left, and it actually leaves the colored resin down in the grooves and really kind of accentuates everything here. So we're going to give that a go and see what happens. To do this, I'm going to be using this amazing clear cast. It's a 2-part clear coat casting resin, and it's made by Alumilite. Alumilite is not a sponsor, although, you know, Alumilite, hit me up. What we're going to do is we're going to use this, and the mix ratio is 1:1 by volume, and then we're going to put some yellow dye in with it, also made by Alumilite. Stuff works really well. It actually looks kind of orange or brown right now, but it's mainly where it's so concentrated, but it makes a really good yellow color. So I'm gonna get that mixed up and go from there. So to do this, I'm just gonna use these 2 small cups, and I've made a line down in the bottom, just a light pencil line, just something that give me a reference to get the same volume mixed of either side, part A and part B. It's probably not going to take a whole lot to do this. If it does, I can mix more. There's a long open time for this resin, so I can easily mix more and pour more if I need to. So I'm going to put part A in one, part B in the other one, add the color to part A, and then combine the 2, stir it up, and pour it on the piece. Before I pour anything, I'm just going to take a couple pieces of wax paper, put down to avoid any kind of spillage or anything that overflows. It will overflow a little bit. And I'm also going to shim this up until it's level. I don't want it sitting to the side and having resin go to one side or the other. I just want it to be nice and flat and level. So I'll level that up, and then we'll pour the resin on it, and we'll let it sit overnight and see what it looks like. Okay, so I've actually changed my mind on the color. I'm going to go with this blue dye, and I'm also going to add just a little bit of blue glitter into it, give it a little more character, stuff like that. And also because I may have another project that I'm going to turn this project into after I get done with it. So I'm going to add the color. And with this stuff, you really just need a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. I'm going to put it in 1 drop, stir that in. That's probably going to be more than enough. It will lighten up just a little bit when we add the other side of the epoxy. We add the other part to it, but not a whole lot. It's going to be a really dark blue. Of course, when it's thinner, when it's a little bit thinner on the piece, it'll show up a little bit lighter too. So put a little bit of the glitter in. Stir that in as well. Make sure everything's stirred real good. Now we're going to take the B side, pour it into the A side. I always like to do it this way. The B side is normally a little more liquid. A side's a lot thicker, so it makes it a little easier to get out when you're taking it from one cup to the other. Then you want to mix that. Always mix it for probably about a couple minutes. You can't really over mix it. Once you've got a lot of work time. Your work time is about 30 to 40 minutes, and the demold time, what they call if you're using this to cast with, is 24 to 48 hours. But since we're just doing it as a coating, it may not take that long, but it probably will be about 24 hours before I come back and look at it, because I want it to set really good before I do anything else with it. And when it's done in thinner, like a thinner pour, it actually takes longer for it to set up as it would if you were doing a thicker pour, mainly because the chemical reaction gets hotter and it cures faster when it's thicker. Alright, so I'm going to finish stirring this, and then we'll go over to the piece and we'll pour it on, see how far this gets us. If we need to mix more, we'll mix more until we get the whole thing covered, and then we'll let it sit. Okay, so we've got the resin all mixed up. I'm going to pour it kind of focusing on the deeper parts going around here, and then I'll probably take something flat and just kind of smooth everything out, get any excess off of these areas. We're going to sand it after it completely cures and dries anyway, but just to get any excess off of these areas that are not fractaled. So let's go on and do it. Alright, so I think, well, let me get the glare off of there. Alright, so I think that looks pretty good overall. I don't want to overthink it too much because we're not done with it once it cures and dries out. I'm going to sand over the whole thing. It should eliminate all of this excess resin and leave just the resin that was down underneath the grooves, just under the surface. And I think it'll look pretty neat. So check back in about 24 hours, maybe more, depending on when I get back to it, and we'll sand it down and take a look at it. Maybe put a clear coat on it and make it a finished piece. So we'll see y'all then. Okay, so it's been a couple days. I came back after about 24 hours and I noticed that there wasn't enough resin on there, so I went ahead and poured another layer on to make sure that everything was covered in, filled in. I've got it set up on this thing here to try to give it a little stability when I go to sand it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sand down, back down, hopefully just to the wood. It may end up going a little bit down into that, which as you can see gives it it may end up with a different look to it if it goes to this first layer of the plywood, which might look alright, might not. We'll see how it looks. I'm going to go ahead and sand this and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so that's what we came out with. You can see the sander got a little deep in places, but kind of overall it doesn't have a bad look. It's just different. You could see where using solid wood wouldn't go through these different layers of the plywood and make different looks to it. It would just stay solid wood with your fractal design in it. But overall, I don't think it looks too bad. I'm going to put a clear coat on it. That'll help bring out the color and everything in here, and it'll actually probably make it look a lot better. So we'll take a look at that, get it sprayed and see what it looks like. And there's our finished product. It will dull down just a little bit. It's just actually just a semi-gloss clear coat that I put on. You can see where it'll still have quite a bit of shine to it that the light's reflecting down. You can see the glitter coming out in the blue. It's kind of subtle, but it's there. And overall, I don't think it looks too bad. It actually came out kind of neat with the kind of torn, rugged look of everything where the sander came down in through the layers. And I've actually, after doing this, I have another idea that might make a little more of this process a little easier. I'll probably try that in the next video or in another video. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. That's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Take care. It's not going to focus at all. Hello. Come on, focus. Focus.